Hello, hello. Going live tonight with Matty Pillios every Sunday. After tonight, we will be changing it to Monday nights as it's better for, I think, everyone involved. But we'll just wait till Matty gets on and then we'll go live with him. Just wait a second. Go, Davey. We might take a second while we wait. Here he is, the great man. Let him in.
Gilsey.
G'day, Matty. How are you, mate?
Good, mate, good. Is this okay? No, it's only one day a week.
Mate, you look great. You look great as always.
You too, mate. Love the beanie.
Yes, thank you. Got to support the Fight MND here in Melbourne.
Definitely do, mate, for sure.
How was your weekend, mate?
Mate, as a real estate agent, we get one day off a week, so It's always too short. It gets to Sunday night, and you think, it's back to the grind tomorrow. So, mate, today's been relaxing. Just stayed at home with the family, went and exercised, and just did a bit of just relaxing and recharging the batteries.
Yeah, nice, mate. I mean, I obviously know you really well and follow you for a while, even before we got to know each other. But how do you keep so fit and healthy? Is it a case of having a schedule on that Sunday where you actually do keep in routine, or do you just make sure that you stick to a routine Monday through to Saturday, and Sundays you do kind of just go, okay, this is a day for me? Like, how does it work for you?
Mate, it depends on the hours, but generally I'll try to do Monday to Friday, train hard. It's because Saturday's such a big day. It's like game day in the AFL. I try not Saturday morning off because I just need every bit of energy on a Saturday. So then I train on a Sunday. But if I've had a big Saturday, or I generally don't have a big Saturday night. I think 10:30 is bedtime for me, unless I've got an event. I'll train hard on a Sunday and take my time because I love fitness and health. But it's funny because 15 weeks of the year, Dylan, I'll be the runner for Duke's under-11s East Brighton Vampires Footy Club. So
Nice.
I'll go to the gym for half an hour, then I'll do the running. So look, it's never consistent, but I try to do 5 to 6 days a week. If I can.
Nice.
Bad week, I train 4 times in a bad week. 5 days per week.
And one of our pardon.
But I'm trying to keep up with you young blokes.
Please, mate. You look about 10 years your age, so mate, you're doing very well. But one of our main pillars here at the Momentum Lifestyle is muscle, and that being not just what we eat, not just our workout routine, but also I guess the mindset behind why we're working out and finding that reason, why it actually is important to have exercise in our day-to-day life. And for you personally, what is your main reason that you exercise and you keep that schedule in place? And do you find if you stop exercising that has an impact on how you perform in your career, how you show up in your relationships? What does it impact you?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's probably multiple answers there. I think firstly, I personally feel good if I'm healthy and fit and look good. So if I can run up and down the stairs and rush in and out from meetings and opens and auctions and not be tired and blowing air, that's imperative. I like you like to feel. I mean, I just like to look and feel good. So if I'm overweight, I'll probably feel a little bit down. If I'm fit and healthy, you're up and about. But also your health, longevity. My parents both got, my dad and my sister, have got diabetes. So I've always been very mindful for my health, but I'm lucky to have always played sports. But I want to be that dad who can be active, physical, kids as well as mentally.
Yeah.
You know, always wanted to be like that so I could have a kick of the footy. Like today was one of the great. I think you saw me probably the first time to be able to go for a run with my son is
Yeah.
actually a big event for me because we get to have that bonding of father son.
Yeah.
So I want to get on fit because there's a reason to train with Duke and Stella and be fit
Yeah.
for them. And then also be able to work well. I think with my job is the more hours you put in physically, the more money you can make. You know, it's really a numbers game. Real estate, the more phone calls you're making. So, mate, I love to train for those multiple reasons, mate.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I remember personally growing up in that ability to be able to run with dad every other day, go for a kick of the footy every day, play basketball. He's just turned 57 and we still go hard at each other in the driveway, sorry, playing basketball. And
Well, look,
it is, it's,
you and your dad, tennis comps and basketball, and that's how I want to
yeah,
be.
yeah,
I think I asked you a couple of years ago. I think I reached out to you, being a younger fella, when you
yeah,
saw me years ago running with Duke, and I was pushing him. And
yeah,
I said,
yeah,
you said, Matt, that used to be me when I was young, and we really
yeah.
connected, even though we knew each other. But yeah, it's I
Yeah.
know.
It is a great way for fathers to connect with their sons, and it's a big motivation for me as well, just to stay fit and healthy. Is well, one day I do plan to have kids, and one day I do hope to be able to run around with them as I get to 50, 60 years old, just like my dad's still doing with me. So, mate, it is great to see you staying fit and healthy, and with the hours that you work, being a real estate agent. I know a lot of the guys we talk to, a lot of the guys we work with, it is really difficult for them to have the relationship with their partner, have relationship with their kids, have a job, work 40 plus hours a week. Do you have any tips for anyone out there that is struggling with their time management on how you seem to pack a lot into your day? You wake up early before the sunrise most mornings, you work out, then you're back home, preparing your kids breakfasts or, getting them off to school. What tips do you have for guys out there?
Yeah, good question. It's I think the main thing is sacrifice. So, I go to bed early. A lot of times I could just sit and watch TV for that extra hour, hour and a half, and that's the extra hour during the day. So trying to get to bed early and sacrifice not watching TV shows. I think on a Sunday is probably the only time I get to watch some TV. Get to bed early, prepare, just time management, but being present with your kids and wife. The limited times I am with them, I might be on my phone a little bit, but I really try to put it away and engage with them mentally and physically. Ask questions. The amount of parents I sort of see, they've got their phone, they're flicking through the gram and they're jumping up. And I just think, the time with their kids, like every time I'm home, I'll say to Duke and Stella, let's watch a movie together. The times Belle will try to say, Matt, can you maybe squeeze half an hour coming home for dinner? And I'll come home at 6:30, sit with them, go back to the office or an appointment. It's hard work. It's a lot of sacrifice, and the why is for the family and life. So, but it's just sacrifice, teamwork, talking, communication.
Yeah, mate, that's great because a lot of what you're talking about is something that we're driving home with our messaging and with the work we're doing with our men, and it's a lot around your values. What are your values? How can you best align your daily habits with those values? Because it's very easy to say, well, I value family, but you don't get home until 8 o'clock, or on Sundays you do. You just watch movies all day or whatever it is, whereas you're living out that doctrine of, well, family's my value, so I will get home, I'll go to bed early so I can get up early and train because that's also a value of mine. So it's great to see that you're living, I guess, a lot of the stuff we're talking about, which is being value-driven and really being in alignment with your purpose, which is so powerful for men especially, is to be in alignment with your purpose. And it makes, the day-to-day stresses of life all that more bearable when you are in alignment with your purpose. And that's another one of our pillars here at Momentum is mission and being in alignment with your mission. And for those jumping on, we got a lot of your Instagram followers jumping on now. Our other two are mindset and masculinity. And, I'd like to transition into that masculinity pillar for us and for you, because For me personally, you're someone that I really look up to in the community. You're family driven. You do exercise. You're really healthy. And I'm curious as to your challenges around masculinity, maybe when you were younger, even now as a father and as a provider. Like, what are some of those challenges associated with being a man that you've had to either overcome or you are currently overcoming?
Yeah, good question again. I think for a couple of years ago, it was real financial stress,
Yeah,
being able to provide well. Sometimes, comparing yourself to other people from a financial place, you could get yourself down from that. So I think about 10 years ago, I went through some gains and losses,
yeah,
and I just had to man up. And I actually had great support from my wife, and I think it's teamwork as well. And it's just always, again, communicating
yeah,
with her and having a good partner. Like, it's really like with anything, successful business, successful sports team, successful family. It's real teamwork, and with the
yeah,
kids as well, communicating with your wife and your kids,
mm,
um, being open
yeah,
and vulnerable when you need to be. But look, just probably financially a while ago now, when there's love and security there, and you're not being judged,
yeah.
um, you're happy. If you've got a loving home, is always a foundation of a great life.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, absolutely. And you've touched on communication a few times. What does that look like for you? Like, what does the communication piece actually look like?
Asking questions, asking the kids, are they
Yeah,
okay? Can I, like I asked Duke yesterday, I said, I'm going to have tomorrow off. I know it's ice, so what would you like to do? And he
yeah,
said, I'll be with you. So,
yeah,
we go for a run and then watch the footy. And
yeah,
I actually, I've come to, I used to be really unorganised and Belinda was organised, but I know I've said to Duke, what's the UFC in the morning? Dad, what's the UFC in the morning? Because Rob Whittaker, I'm a big UFC fan, fought in the morning. So I said,
yeah,
Dad, what's morning, Duke? Then we'll go for a run between 11:30 and 1, and then we'll watch the Bombers. He goes, yep, let's do it. And he's just,
yeah,
look at it. So it's talking, and then with Belle, sometimes it's checking if she's okay during the day.
yeah,
Even a phone call if I know I'm going to be home late or miss dinner.
yeah,
Appreciation, just saying thanks so much. Thanks for helping me with everything you do. I think when we were with your family 3 or 4 weeks ago, she was telling all the help she does, and I drive her crazy, and she hates it when I come at 9.5 out of 10 energy at 8 o'clock at night time, and she's exhausted from a big day with the kids.
yeah.
So it's just telling her how much I appreciate and love her, and wouldn't be able to do anything to do without her, and vice versa. She's the same. So it's just that
Yeah.
gratitude.
Yeah, definitely, mate. The communication's so key in all aspects of life, especially when you are really busy and then you have to juggle, relationships and family. So, I mean, it's definitely something that we're always working on, I think, as blokes, where communication doesn't come like second nature. It is something that we do have to work on, and having a partner that can be patient with you and understand that, okay, he's trying his best is key, and having that support network is so important, I think, and it's great that you've touched on that.
And it's really
Another thing,
the
yeah,
end
go on.
result. It's communicating the end result, whether it's your business
Yeah,
partner, wife, or your boyfriend, whatever.
yeah,
It's so Annabelle, we're at this goal where we want to get a nice house, but we want to get the kids through private school and have that plan. So it's just always communicating the why.
yeah,
When something's sacrificing. And today I actually had to do a couple of work phone calls, and I said, if I can get this deal done, it's worth it for us. And she's on the same page. So it's, again, teamwork makes the dream work.
yeah. It's almost like, when you set a goal in anything, if you understand what that end goal is, it makes the process a little bit easier. It's like, oh, I understand why you got to take this phone call, so okay, I'll go take it. So yeah, it's great to see some consistency around what you're talking about. And with raising young Jukey, how old's Jukey now?
Duke's 11 and Stella's 9.5, so 15
Stella's
months.
not. That's right. Yeah, yeah. How do you try to show up as a father for Bella, for Jukey and Stella, but as that male role model in Jukey's life? What are you trying to really show him as he's about to go into high school and as he's getting older? What are some of the values you're trying to instill in him?
Yeah, good question. Again, structure, discipline. I try to be up and about. I try to be the best version of myself whilst the kids are growing up. I mean, always, but
Yeah.
in front of the kids, while they're growing
Yeah.
up, you don't talk the talk or don't walk the
Yeah.
walk, you can't talk. So, healthy, great attitude, respectful to my wife, really positive. Every time I'm with the kids, I just try to pump them up and encourage them to do things. Also discipline them. Like I thought he spoke poorly to Stella yesterday, so I had a bit of a go at him. We talked it out. So having
Yeah.
that, so being a parent as well, and
Yeah.
so he knows where the boundaries are. It's just that respect and trying to have things in common that he likes. Sometimes, like, if he didn't like footy, I'd be shattered, but I'd be okay with that. What he likes. He loves his video games, for example, so I try to balance it out. And you've got to push well without pushing too hard. It's just encouragement. Like, you just never feel down. And at failure is not failure. Failure is you just learn that mistake and you try again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. No, I love that. And do you see there has been a massive shift generationally speaking from when you were his age or when you were going through high school to what he's going through now?
Yeah, it's definitely different. I think we're very isolated back then. I grew up in the early 90s, 41. So now it's real digital. They're in communication with their friends probably too much compared to when I grew up. So it's like that, not too much Fortnite, because Fortnite, they're talking with their games that he's playing that, or TikTok, which, we've got the privacy things on there. So it's all balanced. We're given that. Have you done your school? Have you cleaned up your room? Have you done? Have you trained today? It's like 5 times a week. It just puts it in, like, I try to be structured, and then Duke and Bell Bell and I can put structure into Duke and Stella's life. So, what they see, around the house. If I was partying and drinking all the time and overweight, guess what? More times than not, potentially the kids would be unmotivated, and I wouldn't have that time and energy to put them in there.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. It seems like a lot of. Pardon?
I said I see your dad as a role model. When I saw when I met you about 3-4 years ago through the Love Me Love You Foundation, I mean, I was obviously a big fan growing up, and your dad was one of the all-time greats. But to see how he's with you, families like that, I think I once said to him, I just want to be close with my kids.
Yeah. We were super fortunate, and you've touched on it a couple of times even tonight. But we were super fortunate, Tyler and I, growing up, where Dad really made that effort to be in our lives. So I remember, and it was funny because we expected that from him because that's just what we knew. We didn't understand that a lot of dads and mums out there were working and couldn't make the time for their kids or weren't showing up. Like, we didn't see that. We just saw Dad would fly home from Perth. He'd get the 12 a.m. flight from Perth, be there Sunday morning to coach us or to play us Sunday morning in the footy. So it became an expectation of such for us because it's just something that Dad always did. And so he was always around, and it instilled such great values in us being able to see that. Because as you said, if we saw the opposite of that, or if we saw, constant drinking, overweight, then that's where you also follow too. A lot of people that I grew up with, their values become what your parents' values are, especially from a young age onwards. And so to have a good role model, and for young boys, especially when they hit that 11, 12, 13, 14 mark, really look up to their fathers and other male role models. It's so important that there are positive role models in place, and there are, good, as you said, structure, habits. Because I remember hating going for runs, but Dad was like, "Get up off the couch, we're going," and I'm like, "No, I don't want to do that. We're going." And I used to hate it, and swear to God, sometimes I would cry during the run as like a 10, 11, 12-year-old. But I'd win. I'd go to school. I'd go to the school carnivals. I'd be representing my school. And so I look back on it, and it was such an important piece for me around building resilience as a child, which then as you get to an adult, if you've got those toolkits, it's so much easier to amalgamate or to step into the real world, where it is a lot harder. It's harder getting a job. It's difficult, working a 9 to 5 versus school, and And so building resilience in our young boys or in our kids is so important.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also giving them everything, like giving them everything you've got, because they'll grow up trusting everything that you do.
Yeah.
You can't spoil. You got to make them earn things, but you just got to give them your energy. Like every time I'm with them, it's always positive, and it's reading the play as well. But you got to give so much love to the kids as
Yeah.
well, and that's been important for me with my kids. But parent, I just want to say, Dylan, is a big sacrifice. You know, there's a big great. Anyone can be a parent, but to be a good parent, you've got to sacrifice the boys' trips or the girls' trips, spending money on stuff that you shouldn't be spending on money. The holidays with your mate, whatever, the golf days, the boozy days. It's a big sacrifice. Great parent. So I'm not saying I'm a great parent. I'm doing my best and Bell, but to raise kids really well and close, you've got to put time and effort. Like anything, hard work.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, you are doing such a great job, in my opinion, at least, and being that role model. And that's why I wanted to get you on tonight to talk about this and a few other things around, the work that we're doing, but also the work that you're doing in the space too. You mentioned Love Me, Love You just before. Can you tell me a little bit more about the Love Me, Love You Foundation and I guess your role that you play there, but also just the wider vision and mission of the Love Me, Love You Foundation?
Yeah, Love Me, Love You, we started nearly 10 years ago. So Lance Piccioni, a former AFL player for North Hawthorn, I think he was a journeyman Adelaide Crows. Lance was a friend of mine, and he went through some really tough times, had a lot of depression through his high school, and I think his dad suffered depression. Great family, the Piccionis. And he reached out to myself and another friend, Luke Livingston, and just said, look, I'm really depressed. I was close to committing suicide. And we really stayed in touch with him and helped him through a tough time. He had his beautiful now wife, Emma, with him as well. And about a year after Lance had sort of got over a big hill, he said, I want to open a foundation. So I had nowhere to go, didn't know who to approach. And I didn't want to feel like that. So he wanted to open a non-profit foundation, Love Me, Love You, and be able to help just to make sure it's our motto, nobody travels their journey alone. So I co-founded that with Luke, Lance, and Lance's mum. And we just started it with momentum like you guys, just putting it out there. Are you okay? Started with a march, which has grown legs, which you've done a couple of years in a row. And I'm on the board. It's really picked up the last 3 or 4 years, and they're out at schools, especially in a time like this. They're going to communities and families that have someone who suffers from a mental illness or someone who's committed suicide, and friends and family reach out. It's remarkable, but until you've been through that with a friend or colleague or someone and getting hit with that reality of someone's taking their own life. So Love Me, Love You is there to support those people, but also educate our youth that they should communicate. Now, when they're feeling someone, it's okay to be down, but it's all male and female.
Yeah, no, mate, it's great. And as you said, we did the march last year, and mate, the 60Ks that was tough. But I've heard Lance speak a couple of times because he spoke at one of my events a couple of years ago that you were at as well. And one of my big key takeaways that I got from that was the 5 friends, or write down the 5 people that you trust that you can reach out to, whether that's in your notes on your phone or write down somewhere where you can really get to them. And then when you are having those dark days that a lot of us do have, you've got those 5 people that you can reach out to and call one by one if need be. So I remember that being a massive takeaway for me personally. I absolutely loved.
Yeah, 100%. It's important to have in your notes of your phone the 5 people when you're struggling. You should think about it. It could be 8 people, it could be 3 people. Yeah. It's just communication. Like, people get so down and they think they're embarrassed, think they can't. Like, not everyone's judgmental. Unfortunately, there's a lot of shallow people out there, but you just got to stay away from the haters. And sometimes it's that puts people down. I know a lot of the times I've been down occasionally is because people have been trying to put us down for no reason outside their own insecurities or jealousy. But it's about helping everybody and trying to lift people up. And that's what we're just trying. It's just education with mental health. Life is so pressure in life, Dilsey, with social media, with expectations. It's just life is becoming, humans has become a big team effort.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. We just did a webinar last week, and I was speaking a lot about that. And what they're finding now is loneliness precedes depression, and we're becoming so disconnected with that attitude of, whilst the person,
happy birthday today.
Happy birthday, Kaylin. Yes. Whilst the personal responsibility messaging is one that has a lot of merit, taking it too far and saying, when you are down or you're not feeling good, oh, that's on you, or that's your responsibility, is actually really counterproductive to how humans are set up biologically. From an evolution standpoint, we all are hardwired for connection and deep and meaningful relationships. And so when we tell someone who's depressed or anxious or not having a great day, well, mate, that's on you, change your attitude, it's actually the wrong messaging. The messaging we need as humans is, mate, come here, I've got you, what do you need, how can I help, talk to me, whatever it is, I'm here for you, essentially. And having those conversations, especially for men and women, but especially, I work in the men's space, so a lot of our messaging is targeted towards men, but especially for men, it's really difficult for us to kind of be vulnerable and open up and say, yeah, I am struggling. And so it's one of our biggest messaging is, it's okay. Like, it's okay to not have your shit together. It's totally okay, because you know what? Chances are the other guy doesn't have his shit together and I don't have my shit together. So if we all can just admit it, drop our egos and just have a chat, we're going to be way better for it in the long run.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, with the big hype, Shane Tuck from the Richmond Football Club. Yeah. Tough as nails on the field. He was a great boxer, but may have been really suffering. And we don't know. Only his close family and friends know. But from all reports, I have a lot of mutual people who are friends with him. An unbelievable guy. I met him about a day in the boxing scene when I commentated and interviewed him. And I was just gutted. So the fact is, it's still raw. My biggest concern is this second wave of COVID was really a kidney punch to people's spirits. And I think spirits are down. So when that got announced 3 weeks ago, I walked through the street and I could just sense that most of them were really depressed. Most of Melbourne were, because we're all human. So I actually said to myself, I'm lucky, I'm sort of gifted at times to be up and about. So I'm going to make it all over the next couple of months to try to get anyone I'm in contact with to keep positive and keep them, just check in and message them and just put some positive stuff out there. And always to say my door's open, if you're struggling financially or for a talk, or people having breakups at the moment, people can't pay bills, which to people being down. And generally, look, men, which you're right, are the ones that are ashamed to talk about it. Yeah. So just there for everyone and going up about, going above, which guys like yourself and your family are as well.
Yeah. And you use the word shame so well, because that's what it is. It's this really deep sense of shame around, well, if I tell people what I'm going through, then they're not going to accept me. They're going to reject me. They're going to do whatever, because that's what shame is. It's that intensely painful feeling of disconnection. And, with all the work I'm doing, we now know that, I use the word intensely painful because we now know through, I think it's a 2011 or 2012 study out of Harvard, that emotional pain is registered in the brain and throughout our body the same way that physical pain is. So if I break my arm or I break my leg and it sends all these signals up to my brain, we know that we're in pain. We know that we're hurt. We know we need to go see a doctor, get help, whatever it is. The same thing happens now when we feel shame, when we have those emotional triggers or go through something emotionally. It's the same thing. The brain processes it the exact same way. So I think that's a big part of breaking down the stigma, is going, it's okay to feel these things, to not feel great, to be on top of the world all the time, because, our brains are processing this as an attack on our body, or as an attack on our psyche. And so seeking help, calling a mate, having that conversation is so healthy necessary and really, really important. We've lost Matty for a bit, so I'll keep rambling on. There he is. Yeah, and it's super important.
My beautiful wife, who's gone for a walk, has texted me the stove is on. This is teamwork at its best. She's left it, and I've had to rush the kids. I gave her a thumbs up so you wouldn't panic when I cut out, so my apologies.
Good communication, Matty. There you go. Walking your walk.
But there you go. But you're right.
Sorry. And mate, more on, I guess, the work that you're doing, or your own opinion on the space, because I think a lot of people can get a lot of value out of your opinion and the work that you are doing in this space. Is what are some tips or some things that you do personally to be more on the preventative? We've talked about you exercise and that's for your mental health. Do you have any other practices that you're like, I need to be doing this so that I'm on top of my mental health or my mental well-being?
Yeah, so structure is everything in my opinion. Like I was very unstructured in my 20s and early 30s, so I've tried to become structured over the last couple of years. And structure will then create momentum. And when you've got momentum, if it's fitness and health, if it's good work in the office, at home, momentum's the key. Positive mindset is a big thing. Like just don't watch anything that's negative. Stop watching the news all the time. Don't watch violent things. Like I'll try to watch people that. I mean, even friends that like your dad will inspire me in a way as a parent and family. Like a good mate of mine, Anthony Koutafidis and Brodie Holland, the way they are in their fitness and health and nutrition. Other people in business, so you inspire around really positive people doing really well, or work. Staying away from negative people is a big thing. Keeping yourself healthy and well, balanced sleep. You need 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
So that's things. Drink a lot of water. Like eat junk food all day. I'd feel terrible. Then I wouldn't train and I'd be unfit. Like it's just. It's common sense and it's discipline and it's just looking. Self-investment's the big key. Self-investment. Put good food into yourself. Put good dialogue and gold into yourself and learn. Like I've come to 3 or 4 of your events to get better. I went to Tony Robbins last year to get better. I've been to every real estate since I started real estate in 2015 to get better, to learn. It's the hardest thing being away from your family, but I think health, like I train to stay fit and be better. So it's just big as well is key. You can't just sit in the things. And ask yourself, it's a growth mindset. I think that's a big thing. Even if you haven't got it yet started, how do I improve time? If I ever lose a deal, which happens, how do I lose it? Why? And I go, you know what? I could have done that better. And I get something out.
Yeah. And the growth mindset that you just touched on is so important. How did you come to that transition part in your life where you were, as you said, you were early 30s, lacked structure, maybe lacked discipline, and now you are the man you are today? What shifted for you that got you down that growth mindset path or the personal development path? Yeah,
I reckon I was inspired by the why, my family, getting myself financially back on my feet after going through some in my early 30s, losing everything, working back. And so it was that. So I made a plan and said, I need to make what I would have made. I'm 10 years behind financially what I want to be. So I need a growth mindset. So I don't get to enjoy things I'd like to do. I'd love to go on holiday. I'd go to Bali once a year, LA once a year, and Europe once a year. I'd love to do that, but I can't. In summer. I'd love to have Saturdays. I'd love to knock off Saturdays at 2:00, but I knock off most Saturdays at 5:30. I'd love to be able to wake up out of bed at 7:30, but I get up at 5:36, whatever I can get. If I can get up 5 to 6 when I can get up. So it's a lot of sacrifice. So growth mindset is always doing, how do I get better? What did I do was good? How do I improve? But asking people, like this year I spent a lot of time with people at Marshall White, like Marcus Kiminello, a good friend of mine, who's the #1 agent in Victoria. Our founder and CEO, our founder, John Bongiorno and James Connell. Paul Gregory, who's the chairman of the Love Me, Love You Foundation, is also the CEO of our 2 offices. spent more time with Paul. You know, he's in his 60s, but he's just such a wise guy.
Yeah.
Just people like, you know, business mentors, and so spending a lot of time. One, because I generally, because I'm really authentic. I like the people, but also too, you know, I could hang out with just mates and relax and do anything, but I need to learn as well. So it's always trying to improve for myself and family, and then I can help other people.
Yeah. Well, it's like the cliche, you know, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you hang out with 5 unhealthy, unmotivated people, you'll be the 6th unhealthy, unmotivated person. So it's it is a cliche, but it rings true. Drink a lot of water, yeah, good. Eggs, mate. It's simple things. Simple things. Water, sleep, you said, structure. They're very simple things that people understand and grasp, but very rarely live out, and very rarely actually consistently do on a day-to-day basis. Well,
Consistency. That's probably been the key. I was improving through my 30s, but you know, you'd have a big weekend, and then you're flat for the next week. So then I was getting to a stage saying, you know, I had 6 good weeks, 2 bad weeks.
yeah,
So all throughout the year, I just try to be clean living, no drinking alcohol. You know, I don't think I have any alcohol outside a glass of wine here and there between sort of August. I'm a bit boring now. Hopefully, Belle doesn't think I am. But from August to September, I rarely drink, and I feel bad socially. But it helps me. You know, wake up early on a Sunday, train, and hang out with my kids for the one day a week off I have at work.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear, like the consistency, even in your messaging around sacrifices, values, family, communication. They've kind of been the 4 big talking points tonight. And I'll let you go in a minute so you don't burn the house down with the stove, because we'd hate to have that happen. But I want to end, mate, on one final question around or two final questions around what you used to think it meant to be a man, like when you're growing up, maybe as an 18, 19, 20-year-old, versus now what you think being a man means, and how that's actually changed over time, if it has. But yeah, so how did you used to think, oh, this is my idea of what it means to be a man, versus now?
I think when I was 18, 19, you think, what impresses my mates? That I hang out with. What's going to make me look cool? How am I going to get the girl that I like? How am I going to be liked? Not really, you know, the real people in your life, like your parents and like your family, your uncles, aunties, cousins. You know, the core half a dozen friends. It was so back then. You worried a lot. You spent so much time as a young man, 18, 19, 20, stressed and worried about irrelevant people, people that have never changed. You learn by experience. You know, you learn about people that are fake, but what you do is you try to impress people that are fake for so long until you get that guidance. So the best thing I can say to young men is to get a mentor. Get a mentor who's had the life experience. That's one thing I wish I had from 18 to 25, 26 was a good mentor to put up with 3 or 4 times a year, which I didn't do. I was watching a footy show when I was sort of 21, 22, 23. So I was privileged enough to be around with some good people, some club presidents in the local Western League, and good people, you know, business guys. But it wasn't enough. You've really got to get yourself with, if you don't have a really good older brother, someone that's 10, 15 years. Like I feel like yourself and some other, I've got a couple of AFL players I speak to regularly. They're in their 20s, they're 24 to 28, and I chat all the time. I'm 41, so I'm still young enough to be in touch, but I'm also been through the life experience. Like I love how you pick my brain with things because that contact there. So that's the biggest thing I could say. Don't stress. You're stressed out at 18, 19, 20, 21. You're learning. You're reactive. You're always tense. You're sensitive as well. Enjoy the moment is probably the big thing I can say to young guys.
Yeah, mate, I love it. That's a great place to finish up tonight. Thank you so much for jumping on, Matty. As I've said a couple of times, but I'll reiterate again, you're a massive name and massive influence in the community here in Melbourne. And, you know, you really do walk your walk. It's something very few people do these days. And not to stereotype the real estate industry, but I will. But real estate agents very rarely walk their walk, and there is that that really difficult piece of finding an authentic, humble man in that community. And I think you really, really do it well, mate. So thank you very much for tonight. Really appreciate it.
Mate, well done, your great work. Keep up the great work, mate. And I hope we're all going to get through this together. Everyone stay positive. And thank you for Big Dalton and Caitlin and everyone else. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Matty. Cheers. We'll chat soon.
Glad the Bombers won today because I would have had a very upset Duke as well, and that was great.
Go the Bombers.
Cheers, mate. Have a great night.
See you, mate. You too. See ya.
Bye.